The Creator crafted the sun, the moon, the stars, divided light from dark, to distinguish seasons on this earth we call ours. For this reason we enjoy fruits to be eaten. The Maker made it all miraculously mold together in amazing sequence. His mercy doesn't change, it has complete freedom. It reigns and remains throughout every season. Like a never-ending paradise, mercy is fruit that is always ripe. Like a taste of heaven, with hope, peace, love entwined. Like a fountain that doesn't run dry, this mercy is outside of time. This Creator God never says no to those who ask for mercy. His arms are always open to those who are thirsty. His love is not conditional, not earthly. You don't have to have it all together or be worthy. He is always listening. He speaks words of wisdom and peace. He formed everything from nothing, creates light in those who believe, provides hope for those in pain, forms light where dark reigns. And just like the setting sun, he makes everything one again. He forgives all mistakes. He can fill every void and truly brings real joy. Whatever your need, hear the voice of grace. These seasons come and go, but this mercy never fades.
I was trying to figure out how to start this sermon today, and I kept having a memory of my childhood again. Here we go with another memory of childhood. And it keeps getting farther and farther away. But it's funny that the older you get, you can remember your childhood, but you can't remember what you did yesterday. It's weird how that works. What was that? You joined the club. I would say most of us have some kind of a memory of when they were excluded, from a crowd or something like that, or they were rejected for some reason, and the memory that keeps coming back to me is one where we were in our neighborhood. I was probably, I'm thinking 9 or 10 years old, and we were playing street hockey on one of the side streets, and it was my brother, who was like 4 years older than me, and his friends, and then my friends were there, also the ones that are my age, and we're playing street hockey, and I can remember running down. We're playing, and I was running, going after the puck, and my older brother, checks me. You know what it means to be checked in hockey, right? He checks me, and I go flying off of my feet into the hedge of bushes. And they all stand around and laugh at me. You know what the weird thing about it was my brother was on my team. He just didn't want me there. He wanted to hurt me so that I could leave. And so he got what he got. He got what he wanted. He hurt me, and I left. And so I decided to go on home. And I get home. By the time I got home and saw my mom sitting there, I started crying like a baby. Well, my aunt happened to be there too. My Aunt Betty. And she said, "Oh, honey," she started feeling sorry for me. She said, "Would you like to come home with me for a couple days?" I had told her that, my friends didn't want me no more. My brothers didn't want me. And so she said, "Would you like to come home with me for a couple days?" I said, "Yeah." I knew I had some cousins that I really loved. They were all about 10 years older than me. But I knew that they would play with me and stuff like that. So I went home with her, and we had a good time, and then they brought me back. But I really felt rejected at that. That's one memory that's stuck in my mind, because I felt rejected by not only my brother's friends, which they always rejected me, But then my own friends stood around and laughed at me too, and I was rejected by them that day too. And I just felt, it's a bad feeling. You don't like that feeling. So, I see this. I look back on this now, and it's a great act of compassion that she had in her heart, and I really felt like when she took me home that she included me. They included me in their family. They included me at the dinner table. They included me with her children, which were a lot older than me, but they were still living at home. And so that's just a mercy act that I never have forgotten. I do remember that day. It took something like this to bring that memory out, but it was good. You probably have times in your life when you had been rejected or something like that, and you just didn't feel included. But the passage today that we're looking at is a story that is about invitation and inclusion, and about mercy that really tears walls down. It breaks down walls. This passage today, it's a very familiar one to everyone. It's where Jesus calls Matthew. And a lot of times we stop right there. That's where Jesus was selecting his disciples. And he calls Matthew, and he drops everything that he was doing, right? And then he joins Jesus, because what does Jesus say? Follow me. Follow me. And so, just before this scene, Jesus had healed a paralyzed man, and he was really demonstrating his authority to forgive sins. But the focus now shifts from physical healing to a spiritual one. This is a healing that comes not to the righteous. It doesn't come to the righteous, but to those who know their need and recognize their need. So as we walk through this text today, as we walk through this story, I invite you to keep this question in your mind. Who's invited to the mercy table? Who's invited? And as I was driving around Hillsborough yesterday, I was thinking about who's invited to the mercy table. Who does Jesus seek out? Who does he sit with? And what does that mean for us as individuals longing for mercy, and as a church that is called to extend that mercy? Jesus' mission is to seek out, to heal, to show mercy to those who recognize their spiritual sickness. So place yourself in this story today. Are you more like the Pharisee who is absolutely confident of your spiritual health? Are you like the tax collectors and the sinners who are aware of your need? Or maybe like Matthew, you're waiting for an invitation that you never thought would come. It's a hard story. It is. It's a few verses, but it's a hard story because it touches our heart from different angles. So let's hear this word of the Lord today. Matthew 9:9-13. As Jesus went on from there, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the toll booth. Some call it the tax office, some call it the tax booth. And he said to him, "Follow me." And he got up and followed him. And while he was reclining at the table in the house, many tax collectors and sinners came to eat with Jesus and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw this, they asked his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" Now when he heard this, he said, it is not those who are well who need a doctor, but those who are sick. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy and not sacrifice. For I didn't come to call the righteous, but sinners. As Jesus went on from there, he saw a man named Matthew sitting in the toll booth. And he said to him, "Follow me." And he got up and followed him. Now, Matthew was a tax collector. Now, I know that even in this day and age, tax collectors are despised. They are despised back then as well. They were outcasts. People did not like the tax collectors. And you got to picture Matthew. How many people have seen The Chosen? Yeah. It gives you a good visual of Matthew sitting there in his booth, and just kind of being alone. People coming up and paying what they owe, and he's the one dealing with the money. Coins are clinking and stuff like that, and people pass by, and they look at him with contempt. They don't like him. They look at him with suspicion because he's a tax collector, because he associates with the Roman authority. He wasn't just living on the margins. A tax collector was the margin. And then Jesus comes along and he sees him. He sees Matthew sitting in there. He doesn't just notice him, but he sees him, and he calls him out. And he breaks every expectation, every social boundary, every religious taboo. And what does he say to him? Follow me. And what does Matthew do? He doesn't say, hold on a second, I need to call and see if it's okay to do that. He just drops what he's doing. And he follows Jesus. He stops the whole thing. He abandons his post. And he follows him. In our tradition, we talk about prevenient grace. The grace that goes before. It's the grace that touches us before we ever know it. Before we ever know that we're seeking. Look at this example right here of prevenient grace. Jesus sees Matthew before Matthew ever even sees him. And he calls him to follow him. That is grace that goes before. I love that. It's this grace that says no one is so lost or despised that God can't save them. Aren't you thankful for grace today? Thankful for grace today. Yeah. In Scripture, it's full of these types of moments. Think about the story of Zacchaeus up in the tree. When he sees Zacchaeus, he says, "Come down. I'm coming to your house today." Everybody knows that song, right? Want to sing it? No? Okay. How about the woman at the well when Jesus has this conversation with her? This is grace that goes before. The lepers that no one would touch. Jesus, he keeps moving toward the outsiders, toward the outcasts, towards the ones who have been rejected. So who in our community sits at their own toll booth, waiting for someone to see them? Who have we written off? Who have we said, no, I'm not even going to talk to that person. Who needs an invitation to the mercy table? See, Jesus sits at the table with sinners and the broken. See, the scene shifts now. He's called Matthew, and he's gone to his house. And Matthew, he throws a feast. And the guest list as well, tax collectors and sinners. While he was reclining at the table in the house, many tax collectors and sinners came to eat with Jesus and his disciples. So here's Jesus, pure and holy and righteous, reclining at the table with those society labels as sinners. And the Pharisees notice this. They notice it big time. And they go to his disciples and they say, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" I think there was more to their question. There was more of an accusation that they were insinuating about Jesus. To them, to be holy was to be separate from everything. But Jesus turns their assumptions upside down. It is not those who are well who need a doctor, but those who are sick. He quotes Hosea 6:6. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. Jesus is saying holiness is not about distance. It's not about keeping your distance, but it's about presence. It's not about avoiding the broken. It's about healing them. Sometimes the church can feel, and I'm talking from the outside, looking in from the outside, but it can feel like it's only for a place for the people who are put together, the ones who have it all together, the ones who are completely happy in their lives. Everything's okay, right? But Jesus sits at messy tables. We all know that's not a true statement as far as us people having it all together. We're a bunch of beggars who gather every Sunday, right? To thank God for bringing us, for salvation. Jesus, he sits at the messy tables. He sits with the people whose lives are upside down. He enters into our messy lives. Aren't you thankful for that? He doesn't wait for us to clean ourselves up because we can't. He brings mercy into places where shame has kept people away. Imagine people and there's a lot of people out there who are struggling with addiction or homelessness that people have judged and avoided and have thrown them off into the margins. One invitation to dinner, one act of kindness, one moment of mercy can become a doorway to healing for a person. A life can change in an instant just because of an act of kindness. It gives a person hope that there is hope for a future. But that's what Jesus does here. Are we willing to sit at the messy table? Are we willing to sit with people who are messy? Are we willing to be a church that's not known for rules, but for welcome? Our doors are open to everyone. This is social holiness. Faith lived out in relationships, in community, in mercy. Holiness is not about rules. but about mercy. The Pharisees, they're scandalized. To them, holiness is rule-keeping. That's what their whole lives have been about. And Jesus reminds them, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. He's drawn a line. Mercy is the heartbeat of God. Not ritual, not performance, not appearances. Wesley warned that the means of grace can become ends in themselves if we forget their purpose. The end is always love. Love for God and neighbor. Are there traditions or expectations, good as they may be, that have become barriers instead of bridges? Are we more concerned about looking holy rather than being merciful? Jesus, he tears these fences down. He opens the doors, and he invites the spiritually sick to the table of healing. Our mission is to create a mercy table where all are welcomed. Let's return back to where we began. The ache of exclusion, the longing for belonging, the desire for a place at the table. Jesus came not for the healthy, but for the sick. Not for the righteous, but for sinners. Not for the insiders, but for the outsiders. This is prevenient grace. This is justifying grace. This is sanctifying grace. This is the heart of the gospel. So I would ask you, who is waiting for a place at your mercy table? Who is God asking me to invite to my mercy table this week? Who needs your invitation, your compassion, your presence? Maybe it's someone that you've overlooked. Maybe it's someone you've judged. Maybe it's you wondering if you're too broken or too messy for Jesus. I want you to hear the good news. The great physician is calling your name. Revelation 3 reminds us he stands at the door and knocks. I've paraphrased this. And whoever opens the door, he will come in and dine with them. I would say, let us be a church that welcomes the outcast, who chooses mercy over sacrifice, and points always to Jesus, the one who invites us all to his mercy table. Amen? Amen.